Hey guys, Lord Tamberlane here with more obscurities in miniature. Today we're going back because I'm a glutton for punishment, but I do love me some raging heroes. And today we're going to build the Death Dancers for Lust Elves for their toughest girls in the galaxy. The Lust Elves, I want to say were they're sci-fi. No, those are the Void Elves. Maybe they were both. I don't know. They're not Dark Elves. I know that. They're like these crazy Slaaneshi, multi-armed. Some people call them stripper, pole dancer types, but they're just, I don't know. Yeah, they're kind of scantily clad, but they're just cool. Now, this is not my first dance with the Death Dancers. I got some during the original Kickstarter, built them, had a lot of difficulties with them, and after much work, painted them up, and then somebody offered me some very good trade things for it, and I took them up on that. So I didn't actually own this set though. This is the, I don't think this is the command. These are the troopers. I had the command box, and honestly and truly, I like the models in the troopers box a bit more anyway. So I'm going to stop rambling on about that, and I'm going to take a look at these. Now, these are resin. As far as I know, there were no metal castings done, and Raging Hero seems kind of done with metal these days as it is. If you haven't built any of the Raging Hero box sets, they always have this little how to prime the resin, and it's in English on both sides, which is weird, but you know, okay, it doesn't matter. Get a nice Benty card thanking me for my purchase. I need to know if I need anything. So we're still talking about the game here, but as far as I know, there's been not a whole lot of movement on the game itself. Enough about that. Let's take a look at the models. So we have the generic slot of bases in here. Not a whole lot else in there. Because all the good stuff is in here. There are going to be 5 models. They're all on 25mm bases. Oh crap, are you kidding me? Alright, this is exactly what I was afraid of. Considering on average most of these girls have 4 limbs, this is gonna be a fun one. And I'm just hoping beyond hope that everything is where I need it. Oh god, oh here, individual hand. That's gonna be fun. Thankfully it doesn't look like there's a lot of missing things, so whoever this is, we at least have the bulk of her body. Thankfully, a good chunk of her arms here are holding the sword. I'm going to guess then that you are Archie. See, with the sword and the 3 hands. So, now I gotta admit, the the resin quality on this is a lot more what I expect and what I have gotten in the past from Raging Heroes prior to the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter was that weird, crazy, oily mess, and it was not fun to deal with, but this is not the case here, so that's good. Good to see. This is, I don't know, she's got a foot over her head. Who's got the foot over their head? Kashit? Yeah, alright. So very fancy ornamentation. If you're into painting all that bling, I mean, you've got a lot going on there. My big challenge is going to be, can I get them off the sprue without breaking them completely? This worries me that there was something they were attached. We have 4 hands. That'll be fun. Are those daggers or claws? They're daggers, okay. A little bit of cleanup there at the flash, but nothing too excessive. How does she stack up to a human-sized model? About the same. So that's good to see. They're not overtly large. Like I saw the new Creature Caster ones look a little bit bigger. Of course, once they've got all their limbs on the model, that might change a little bit. But I mean, they're supposed to be live, not necessarily diminutive, but only thing that disappoints me a little bit is the figures themselves end up a little flat just because of their poses. And maybe it's just these ones, but I had the same frustration with the previous group as well. Okay, I'm guessing that this set of hands is what was attached. Yeah, like that, because otherwise, yeah, she's got 3 hands there that need to hold stuff. How is it going to attach? I don't even know. Perhaps like that. At least they do have a bit more space taken up, more solid once they've got all their limbs on. They're not so flat. Or perhaps this one's hers. This one's got actually 4 empty limbs. That might be hers. That one only had 3. Plus the square kind of keyed in shape is a little bit larger on that. Okay, I think that's hers. I don't know which way it's supposed to go. I don't know what's what on that either, if it's flash or fancy filigree. We'll set her to the side. Let's take a look at some of the other models. It was, what did I say her name was? Kashit. This is Demri. Demri with a whole lot of hands going on. I like her head, the kind of bat wing things. To me, this is what I want, and I expect a Slaaneshi style model to look like. So this is the girl, I think, that's got her hands on the ground. There's her sword right there, the crazy blade. I gotta figure out a color pattern I want to paint them with. I don't know what this is. This weird 2-prong thing. I can't tell if it's just flash or extra molding things. I'm not even sure. I don't know why, but she feels bigger than the other ones that are on the ground. Maybe not. Maybe it's just my imagination. Okay. That's the third one. Ooh, that's going to be fun to clean up. That is a lot of extra junk. Oh, maybe it's not. Okay. This is like a knee blade going on because she's got her leg going up behind her. I wasn't sure what this was. And who is this? This is Elzria. No? Elzri, I believe. So we're missing some stuff here. Maybe she had the extra hands? I don't know. This is going to take some real sorting. I know she's the one who's in the front of the box. I think this is her hand that goes like this. And then she's got this real big sword behind her. And finally, this is the last one, and I don't know who she is. Is this Malvaria? I don't know. This is going to be just... I am glad, at least I was worried when I first opened this, that there was just a bunch of crazy random parts all tossed in the bag, and I was really going to have to figure this out. But for the most part, they seem to have all their things together. I honestly and truly would not recommend cleaning and trimming everything and then putting it together unless you're going to do each model one at a time. I made a mistake on some of the Void Elves, which were their kind of, I don't know, the racks, whatever the grotesque guys that have all the, you know, hooks and body horror stuff going on with the Dark Elves. I want to say those are the racks. Anyway, the models from Raging Heroes, I ended up cutting everything out and then trying to glue it, and that didn't work, and then I had to clean it, and then I really got everything messed up and mixed up, and that was not fun. So I'm going to attempt this. I'm hoping this isn't going to be too bad. I'm going to go clean them all off just to be safe, because, you know, with that mold release, it never hurts. I'm wondering if this little peg right here on each of their legs is what's actually supposed to just slot into the base. I wish they were on 30mm bases, or, you know, these are kind of small. I don't know if they're 20 or 25s, but not the biggest bases. Anyway, let's get these girls built, and let's see how they stack up. Sadly, I don't own any other Slaaneshi GW stuff, so we'll just have to compare it to some of the other models I got, but hang in there. All right, we are done with our Death Dancer troopers here, and you can see that they have a lot of little parts. So in case you didn't see it the first time, each of those hands is an individual piece that needs to get glued on. Now, mind you, they weren't as bad as the original Kickstarter models. The Kickstarter models, I had a lot of trouble trying to actually get them to go together. They were very uncooperative, whereas these ladies, they actually went together fairly simple and easy. It was just a matter of going through all the parts and getting them attached. And I think for the most part, they really did a decent job. I really still feel that they're kind of flat, and you can see that. I mean, they're not as voluminous, I guess. They don't take up as much space or have as much depth presence as some of the other models on the market, but then again, they're very complex in how they have all their little parts, and this one right here needs a little bit of cleaning on her hand, but that's okay. So that's this model with her foot over her leg. What was her name again? Kicsktarter. And then there's this crazy one here, who I think wins the award for the most hands. She's got 5 on one side. And it was interesting that she actually has her hand and her head all connected to help support it, which is a nice little touch. Getting all those hands on, not so much. And I really don't know how she's supposed to pose. She's got this weird ribbon thing hanging off of her head crest. And then she has a peg actually on her loincloth here, but she doesn't really have all of her limbs match up. So I'm not sure how that's going to actually work out or where she's going to actually go. I might have to put her on some kind of a custom base or something. So we'll see what that entails in the future. Next up we have Arshi. She was kind of a simple model, and another one where I'm not sure exactly how her pose is supposed to work with the base that's included. She's got the 2 pegs, but the sword is actually in the way from having the pegs go fully into the slot in the base. So, I don't know. She might end up on another base. She might end up getting pinned somewhere. I might just snip off that little peg that she's on one of the legs, drill a hole through there, and attach her maybe to one of those Micro Arts custom bases that Cool Mini was selling for a while, since I've got piles of them, since they were basically selling them for pennies on the dollar a while back. All right, we saw our friend with her leg over her head. How about our kicker? She's probably my favorite due to her claw-like mantis arms. Interesting crotch shot, but wasn't intended. Again, I do need to do a little bit more cleanup. I thought I got everything off. She went together fairly well. Actually went together pretty easily now that I think about it. Getting them on these bases. I have a weird thing where I actually have to attach the model to the base it comes with usually. And so I guess I was up to the challenge. Normally what I would do if I was patient, and I wasn't because I was sick of working on these ladies, is I probably would put a layer of green stuff rolled out real thin, put it on, so that way I can just kind of plug them in and let it all dry, and that actually would help support them. But nope, I had to be stubborn. I had to do it the old-fashioned way and just use some super glue. And finally we have Elzri. She's a pretty cool sculpt. I like her. Again, with all her hands. Now, what's interesting, I noticed about this model in particular, so you see she's got these kind of curved horns curling in on the skull there, but then if you look at the actual model art, she's got like all kinds of extra horns growing off of her head, and then like some of these are actually mirrored. I don't know what happened. I'm guessing that this is just the final model, and the other stuff was just renders, because there's no other horns available. Maybe there were, and they snapped off in transit. I'm not sure. Another interesting fact, I only managed to lose one hand while trying to put these ladies together, and I did find it the next day, but I was quite worried. They don't give you any backups. Now, in case you're curious how large these ladies are after they've been built, they're obviously much skinnier than a Marine, but they're pretty comparable in size. A little bit bigger than a human, but again, they're in all kinds of weird contorted positions, so it's kind of hard to actually tell for sure. Definitely not as tall as a Primaris. Definitely not as tall as a Stormcast Eternal. And since I've got them handy, I'm going to grab some of the Creature Caster ladies, and you can see. So Creature Caster is supposed to be coming out with their own line of infantry models to go with all of their various demons and chaos type monsters, so that should be interesting. I think she fits in really well. I think there's a nice cross-company compatibility, especially with their whole sickle arm thing, and I've asked this before and I'm not sure, and I probably should just go check, but I'm wondering if the Demonettes from GW and the other Slaaneshi stuff have these kind of mantis arms like that, because it seems to be a thing. Or at least maybe that's a modern thing. I don't know. When I think of Slaaneshi Demonettes, I think of crab claws. The old mobster ladies with the bald heads. So yeah, our creature caster models fit in pretty well actually, and like I've said, you can mix and match them up. You can have yourself a cool little unit here, especially with all their crazy extra amounts of limbs. So, a pretty cool kit. It's somewhat complicated in terms of tiny little parts, but actual construction was pretty simple and straightforward. I never had an issue other than me losing little teeny tiny hands on the carpet. But other than that, they went together pretty smooth. And like I said before, my only real disappointment is the fact that they're not as dynamic in how much space they take up. Yeah, their poses are super dynamic. Nobody can ever accuse Raging Heroes models of being static and boring. They're all over the place. It's just I wish there was a little more movement, I guess, in terms of how the model is put together. They're very flat. They're not completely flat. It's kind of the same argument I have with a lot of like, oh shucks, what are they called? Stonehaven? Yeah, Stonehaven's models. Their early ones were really flat as well, but they've slowly but steadily with every release they've done and made it much nicer and voluminous figures. So hopefully, I've been nagging Raging Heroes and I'm going to continue. They had artwork for a matriarch figure that had even more arms and a couple extra legs while she was at it. But sadly, they seem to have decided that the new snake demon girl is going to take that place. I hope they don't forget about the matriarch figure, because I really liked it when they did their Toughest Girls in the Galaxy 2 Kickstarter, and I really do hope they bring it back. So I'm going to get some paint, and hopefully these ladies are going to show up in one of my weekly painting progress videos in the near future. Fingers crossed. Hopefully you'll stick around and check some of those videos out. I've got plenty more where that came from. Hit that subscribe button, because we're updating all the time, at least till I end up in Japan again. And hopefully we'll figure out what we do when we get there. In the meantime, this is High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures saying thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.